Welcome back. You're watching The Fix with me, Karima Brown on ENCA. Now, police watchdog IPID's independence is under threat. This follows a decision by its executive director, Jennifer Ntlatseng, to shut down its National Specialised Investigative Team, also known as NSIT. However, Police Minister Becky Cele, who recommended Ntlatseng for the post, denied that the unit is being shut down. Joining me to take this issue further is Director at the Helen Suzman Foundation, Francis Antoni, as well as the General Manager of the Public Servants Association, Ruben Maleka. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming into the studio. We do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Francis, let me start off with you. We've seen now allegations of, or denials rather, that the specialized unit is going to be closed down. Yes. We're going to come to it later, but you anticipated this, so much so that you've got a case before the Supreme Court of Appeal where you argue the fact that the executive director of IPID, the fact that that person reports to the police minister, who is a political head, amounts to political interference. Why did you then already think that it's important to challenge the way that director is appointed and remove the power that the police minister and the portfolio committee in Parliament, also made up of politicians, not be central to how this unit operates?
If I can just go back one or two steps, just to place the IPID within a context. You used a phrase earlier in your interview with Lawson, the corrosive corruption of our criminal justice system, and I think you've touched on something very important there. The criminal justice system consists of three sets of organizations: the prosecuting, the judiciary. That comes later. Right at the beginning comes police. Yeah. And within the police service, there are two important organizations: the Hawks, and more importantly, IPID, because they guard the guardians. They police the police. And we've watched over a number of years, 4 years now, how people have been trying to control IPID. And with respect to Mr. Robert McBride, he was doing a damn good job. We went all the way to the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court gave us directives. And the reason why we are in this mess now, and let me say this categorically, is because Parliament has not done its job. With Francois Beukman first, the Police Portfolio Committee did a hatchet job on Robert McBride. 6 months earlier, he'd been praised for what he was doing, and they got rid of him. Tina Joemat-Peterson's committee did an even worse hatchet job. So where you have men and women who are doing their job, they are being targeted. And to place it in another context, Robert McBride, I believe, was getting too close to the generals. And here comes the crux of the matter. And he was removed. And we believe he was removed unlawfully. And it's this question of political interference in appointments and in dismissals. And we're in the court. We've already had one session in the High Court, and we'll be taking up the matter as well. The Act is in a mess, and that I blame on Parliament. They didn't address the issues of appointments and dismissals in an appropriate way.
Okay, now this is of course absolutely critical because, like you say, IPID is the guardians, guarding the police, and those are the people that we need. It's an internal affairs of sorts, to borrow an American phrase. Mr. Maleka, let me bring you in here. Now, whilst Mr. Francis Antoni is fighting this matter in the courts, you of course represent the Public Servants Association, which is the organization that represents some of the men and women who are in these institutions, whose lives are affected by this. Now, I am sitting here with a letter from the Public Service Association where you say that the PSA has received information that IPID is in the process of disbanding the National Specialised Investigative Team, NSIT, with effect from the 1st of December 2020. It is noted with concern that there was no consultation with organised labour regarding the disbandment of the said unit. And you, of course, say that you're requesting that the process of disbandment of the NSID be stopped immediately until meaningful consultation with organised labour has taken place at the Departmental Bargaining Chamber. Now, we were going to play in a clip of the police minister later, who disputes that this decision has been taken. How does the PSA come to the understanding that INSID is in fact going to be disbanded on December 1st?
Thank you very much, Karima. First of all, we are very disappointed in the manner in which IPID is dealing with the issue of NSID. It is clear that there's a total onslaught on NSID, and the question that we always ask is that why in many instances institutions, individuals who are doing great jobs in the organization are actually targeted? Because you can see definitely that NSID is being targeted and for doing a good job. And you ask yourself why even the ED, Ms. Ntlatseng, could not even realize that she had an obligation to consult with us, but they went to intimidate those individuals. I call it intimidation because in our meeting that we held with the executive director and some of the managers on Thursday last week, you can see that there's an onslaught and direct attack on particular individual investigators because they are doing a great job. There was instance where we asked a pertinent question. What was the purpose of NSID? And nobody could answer that. And the question is that why now it must be disbanded? There was no answer on it. And we asked ourselves that if NSID was doing a great job since 2015, 2014, when it was established, why now it must be disbanded? I even asked this question and made an analogy to the ED to say, look, this is a kind of the same operandi of saying Scorpion was doing a great job. It was disbanded. Today you have IPID having a great section, a unit, very effective, working directly also with the ID within NPA, making sure that they deal with high-profile cases, and with no reasons, and more targeting, that they are not even willing to engage us as labor. They go and target individuals and say, look, you actually come from this particular province, we are sending you back. You come from this province, we are sending you back. You don't have a choice. There's no NSID head office anymore. And we ask ourselves, why NSID being efficient as it is, it must be disbanded that way. We are going to stop it.
Okay, hold that thought, Mr. Malika. Let me bring you in here, Francis. You said that the reason why the independence of IPID was being attacked was because under Robert McBride's leadership, he was getting too close to the police generals. Now, we know that tomorrow, several police generals, including the former acting head of the South African Police Services, Khomotso Patlane, the former deputy national director of, or rather commissioner of the police, General Bonang Mgwenya, is appearing in court in relation to what is known as the Blue Lights case, which is essentially that they received bribes from service providers who provided the police with blue lights. Now, for people who don't know the detail, this team that is now being disbanded was actually responsible for arresting both Patlani and Ngwenya. And it is interesting that this very unit, after doing such great work, I think they've got 10 allegedly corrupt generals on trial now. They are now being threatened with closure. Tell me, Francis, are you, one, surprised, and two, whose interest does it serve if the independence of IPID is compromised?
Okay. Those are powerful questions, and they're difficult questions. One of the things that, when Ruben was speaking, I thought I'd never hear the word total onslaught again. But there is a sense that phrase has come back in. We've got to try and conceptualize what do we mean by state capture. And this is important. If you are able to capture or undermine the institutions of the state, and we've seen this over the last 10 years, you are then able to do the looting. You capture the state, or the institutions that are there to guard the guardians or the hawks. Remember, we had how many years of fighting around the Dramat dismissal?
Yes.
And then how many years about Mr. Ntlemeze's dismissal?
Yeah.
There's a one who's saying, do I live in the courts? Does the HSF just set up camp there? We don't want to.
Yeah.
It would be lovely one day to close the HSF and say, there are no more issues of litigation, we've solved all this. But so that the question of the institutions being undermined or captured is central to our understanding of state capture. That's really the state capture, not the looting. That is a consequence of it. I don't know if you agree with that.
Okay.
So,
And Francis, you're making an incredibly powerful statement. We're going to take a short break, but before we do that, let's recap quickly what Francis was saying. He was saying that in order for state capture to become successful, you needed to win and hollow out the institutions that were supposed to uphold the rule of law. When we come back, we are going to play in a response from the police minister, who denies that this all-important unit is going to be closed down. Don't go anywhere.